Hang on 1 second. I hit the live button now suddenly. Hang on. It's funny. Well, I thought I had to burp. And don't worry, it'll come up later when I'm in mid-sentence, so that'll be fun. Hey, guess what? It's Wrestling Observer Live. And we're live 7 days a week. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Sundays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. And Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. It's Jim Valley.
Oh, that's the most exciting type of Valley.
The effing king of recovery. 6-0 against death.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot.
Back because of the fans.
Each and every one of you.
The largest collection of STD having trailer park trash the Rock has ever seen.
You all fat, neck-bearded, mouth-breathing trolls.
They don't have adrenaline in their soul. All you do is be hurtful. All you are is abusive. And all you've ever done is bully me into being your damn puppet and expected me to do it with a smile on my face.
It's Saturday. You know what that means.
It is time to have a talkie talk.
And yes, we will talk a bit about Hulk Hogan. Did you know his legacy is complicated? Yes, I know. Everyone is saying that. Everyone. Last night on Smackdown, if you had a drinking game, I wouldn't be able to make the show today. I'd be too hungover. Complicated. Even on our own website, there's like 3 different shows. The complicated legacy of Hulk Hogan. Well, guess what? I don't need a show to say that. I'm going to say it in just 3 minutes and 52 seconds. Coming up here in just a bit. Smackdown last night, of course. Very poignant tribute to Hulk Hogan. Also, paying tribute to the Hulkster last night, Sting, at an indie show in Charlotte. I will play that clip for you. Plus, Jelly Roll, Smackdown, SummerSlam, G1 Climax, Collision, TNA Impact tapings. And there's some interesting and maybe surprising challengers for the TripleMania Mega Championship at TripleMania. So we have got a lot to do. But you know who's not here today? Big Lou and you. So it doesn't matter if you're Porky or super Porky today. First thing, let's talk about Hulk Hogan. I guess we have to, and we should. Last night, big time wrestling, Charlotte, North Carolina. Sting made an in-ring appearance and remembered his friend, Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan. And thanks to my friend, Bob Keller, and Big Time Wrestling, I'm able to play this clip from last night in Charlotte with Sting for you.
How you doing, Charlotte? Man, every time I come back here, I go back in time. Back in time with guys like Ricky Morton, who's here tonight. George South, who's here tonight. And of course, I could not leave out the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Who put me on the map all those years ago. Man, so many world title matches against him, and I'm grateful to him. He's somewhat of a hero to me. And you know, a lot of those guys are not going to be around too much longer, right? We experienced it firsthand yesterday. So I cannot. Yeah, Hogan, yes. Hulk means so much to me. I'm glad that I have this opportunity to talk about it. A lot of guys have been all over social media talking about it. So this is my first opportunity to say I loved Hulk Hogan. I still love him. I'm going to miss him. He was a contributor to the wrestling industry as a whole like no one else. He brought everyone else up to new levels. He brought Sting up to new levels. Sting, Hogan, we broke attendance records all over the United States. Here in Charlotte, we had buy-rate pay-per-views, rates, record-breaking there with pay-per-views. Nintendo games. Remember those, right? Nintendo 64. Unbelievable. But see, and I remember guys when Hogan first came into WCW and some of the guys would say, man, don't you feel like the office has got you kind of stepping aside for Hulk? And I said, no, I don't feel like that at all. I feel like we have the king of kings here. I mean, Hulk Hogan. He is going to help put butts in seats. We're all going to make more money. We're all going to get better ratings. It's going to be good all the way around. You look at what he did, he transcended wrestling. No one else ever did. He was the first. I remember he told me a story about watching me when I was with WCW. He was still with WWF at the time, and he was watching a WCW program. He was watching an interview with Vince McMahon, or Vince was watching with him. And I did some kind of landmark or Venice Beach land shark interview, which was comical, and it really meant a lot to Hogan. And he said to Vince, he said, we got to get this guy out here. And then fast forward a few years later, he had his TV series Thunder in Paradise. Remember that? I had a part in that. I was going to get to do the second season with him. And that meant a lot to me. I'm telling you these stories because, man, he really did care for others. He cared for me. He lifted me up. He lifted WCW up. I'm grateful to have known him. And I just couldn't not acknowledge Hulk Hogan tonight. And last, I just want to say thank you once again to all of you. Some of the stories that you tell me, I just can't believe. You guys mean so much to me. The words that you share, I feel like I want to say the same thing right back. You guys helped me along the way. I love the stories. I love you all, and I'm going to miss you all as well. So, that's enough Sting talk. It is now showtime.
So there was Sting paying tribute to Hulk Hogan last night at Big Time Wrestling in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you want to see it, you can go to their Facebook page at Big Time Wrestling. Somebody in the chat, BJ, says, so is Steve Borden going to get death threats from both sides now? He says this stuff has to stop. Let people remember and grieve in their own way. And he's referring to Chelsea Green, who was initially positive about Hulk Hogan. Got a lot of heat from fans. There's sort of a generational gap, I think, is a lot of it. And then she came back and posted about she's still against racism and other things. And then she got heat from the people she pleased with the first tweet. And now she's taking a break. And here's kind of the way I see that is, look, I mean, and not just Hulk Hogan. For example, I have two different friends. I don't even think they know each other. And they have both done time for two different offenses. But they did their time. And in my mind, they haven't reoffended. They paid their penance, and I'm still friends with them. Now, other people may not like them, and that's fine. I mean, and that's kind of one of the things. It's like, I get it. I get why people are upset with Hulk Hogan, But at the same time, it's like you can't begrudge his family. You can't begrudge anybody's family for standing by them or their friends. And while we're acknowledging the loss to the industry, one of the losses we haven't talked about, who's having a very difficult time, not only with the loss, but maybe struggling with the morality of the situation. And that is the little Hulksters, who are now 35, 40, 50, who said their prayers, took their vitamins, and now they're struggling. So rather than saying it's complicated, like everybody else, I put my thoughts down into a song that I wrote. I didn't sing it, did produce it. But so here's my tribute to all you struggling little Hulksters right now.
Life was fun when your shirt got ripped. Hulkster flexing and posing in the spotlight you gripped. WrestleMania made you an icon. Slamming the 80s 24-inch pythons. But then came the gossip, the lawsuits, the tape, the things we don't talk about. Changed the landscape. You told us to say our prayers, believe in the truth. Then broke the commandments you preached in our youth. Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? We tore our shirts to man, we participated. You were our champ, now history's debated. And I know more than any other, it's not easy being a grown-up Hulkamaniac brother. You're hanging with Macho, you're both good guys. WrestleMania 5, you got lust in your eyes. Red and yellow to black and white. NWO gave your career new life. Now fans are torn on what to feel. We grew up on you, was anything real? I hear real American and get goosebumps till the headlines get me down in the dumps. Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? We cheered every leg drop, but some fans still jaded. You slammed the giant, now the past feels faded. And I know more than any other, it's tough being a grown-up Hulkamaniac brother. Whoa, we said our prayers, we took our vitamins. We believed in the hero beneath the skin. Little Hulksters at heart, the gossip's still hard to take. We'll always have the childhood you helped make. What you gonna do when the past runs wild on you, brother? Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? We still have the action figures you created. As a wrestler, you were underrated. And I know more than any other, it's a full-time job as a grown-up Hulkamaniac brother.
So there you go. My tribute. My understanding to all the adult Hulkamaniacs suffering right now. Brother, they said their prayers. They took their vitamins. They wanted to be Hulk Hogan. But the closest they got was his hair blind. So I hope that encapsulates your feelings the last few days. You know, initially, I got that idea when I saw the Observer website and like 2 or 3 different shows, The Complicated Legacy of Hulk Hogan. And you know, when I turn in the shows, usually I put a headline and picture, and invariably they will change the headline, change the picture, and rewrite the, and I'm fine with that. I don't care. But it's like, and then I'm looking at it and go, why did they put 2 complicated? And everyone's saying complicated. And I was like, oh, I could do an Avril Lavigne parody. And so you can hear it in there that it was supposed to be an Avril Lavigne parody. But it's kind of copyrighted music. So I kind of played with it a little bit. And I was like, well, I guess I could make it sound like 80s rock. And I didn't really like the guy's voice. So I think in the end, it sort of sounds like Vixen to me. It's kind of what it sounds like. So there you go. Someone's mentioned this is kind of my 3rd show since the passing of Hulk Hogan. And I've already kind of talked about it, how, you know, I really liked 80s Hulk Hogan, early 80s, AWA, Rocky 3, and, WWF against Bob Backlund and Andre the Giant at Shea Stadium. And I was kind of happy that, when Hulk Hogan won the WWF title and things, then I don't know, maybe late 85, 86, I was just like, he's not the same guy that I liked, and I couldn't put my finger on it. You're right, a little bit more twang. That song could have been Carrie Underwood. My wife thinks it sounds like a real song. I guess kind of. Anyway, and when, as I've mentioned before, when I was a kid, I took wrestling way too seriously. Way too seriously. And one of my favorite all-time cards that I never saw until I was an adult, but read about in the magazines, was Shea Stadium. Larry Zbyszko and Bruno Sammartino in a cage. Bob Backlund and Pedro Morales won the WWF titles from the Samoans, making Pedro Morales the first grand, or would have, I guess he had to win the Intercontinental title later, but which helped him become one of the first Grand Slam champions. Bob Backlund, world champion, tag team champion at the same time, So it's very cool to me. That match was cool. And Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Then WrestleMania 3, they're acting and saying they've never fought each other before. And I was like, what a bunch of crap. This Hulk Hogan guy, how could he not remember these things? And then at that point, I was like, I didn't dislike him, but we sort of fell out of love at that point, for sure. But anyway, and obviously things he said were problematic, those unforced errors. And I will say this, as I've been thinking about it, saying you're racist, using some of this language and some of the other things is certainly not a good look. It's not good at all. But I'm not aware of him actually holding someone back strictly for their color. Practicing racism. And I could be wrong on that. But I think, and according to Devon, he helped him, Devon Dudley, and he apologized to him in person. And it's funny, Mark Henry is now missing him. Anyway, I feel like I've kind of talked a lot about Hulk Hogan. And by the way, someone asked me last time my favorite matches. And I'd forgotten a couple. I think one of my favorites that I watched a number of times, because I had the Saturday Night's Main Event videotape, not the first one, but like the second or third one. And that is was it a Texas Death Match? Harley Race versus Hulk Hogan, where Harley Race went through the table and then damaged his appendix, and that was pretty much it for Harley Race. That was a great match. I loved that match. I watched that a bunch of times on that tape. And I gotta be honest, I shouldn't, but I forget about Hogan versus Rock. And the reason is it was an incredible spectacle, but it wasn't a great match. It was a great lesson in psychology by Hulk Hogan. And the Toronto crowd was incredible, but it wasn't a great match. Toronto made that match. But I mean, as far as a spectacle, and wrestling is spectacle, it's a pretty tremendous spectacle. And I will say this, I've been a wrestling fan. We're coming up on 50 years. It's almost embarrassing to say that. And I don't think I ever had a better time in wrestling than that summer when Hulk Hogan turned heel and joined the NWO. That was such an exciting summer, to have WCW finally legitimately competitive. And, eventually the comeback of WWF. But I mean, fans had been booing Hulk Hogan for the longest time. And to finally have it happen. And the way it was booked was brilliant. And the way that summer was booked was brilliant. It was just, the shows at what it's now Disney Hollywood Studios outside. And it was so cool. That was a great time to be a wrestling fan. It was great. And, again, a lot of it for Hulk Hogan. Smackdown last night appropriately opened up with a 10-bell salute to Hulk Hogan. Jimmy Hart, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Sergeant Slaughter, Ted DiBiase, Brian Blair, among the contemporaries and good friends of Hulk Hogan. They were on stage with the rest of the WWE roster. Then they had a Triple H voice tribute to Hogan, some career highlights and voice clips from Hogan. Very well done. After that, I laughed so hard because they followed up with Logan Paul. So you follow up with the immortal Hulk Hogan. And then out comes Logan Paul. And it was funny because the crowd was still chanting Hogan, which Paul said was Logan. And I believe it was Logan Paul's mom that was holding up a Logan Paul sign in the front row. Jelly Roll came out in his black outfit. They went back and forth. Drew McIntyre came out. He appeared. And then Randy Orton came out. And when it looked like he was about to say something on the mic, he punched, caught Drew by surprise, right in the nose, and a brawl ensued. So they're heating up that. And I will say this. Logan Paul is known for his offense. He is very athletic. Watching this brawl, and I could be wrong, and I hope I am, and I'm sure they're going to practice everything. It's going to be like with Ronda Rousey's first match and things. They're going to practice this whole thing. But right now, as I was watching this, I was like, I don't know if Logan Paul has the selling skills to make Jelly Roll look better than he is. But we shall see. But I hope it works out. And, this is going to be, a tremendous, tremendous match. So, as far as drawing crowd and fan interest and interest on social media. Next on the show, Roxanne Perez defeated Alexa Bliss. Sort of a inverse of what happened last week. Instead of Charlotte stopping, sorry. Apologize. Instead of Charlotte stopping Raquel attacked Charlotte, and that allowed, and then Alexa went to try to go and help and save Charlotte, which led to her getting pinned by Roxanne Perez with a roll-up. So she also used the ropes for the pin. So Chelsea Green backstage complaining about Jade Cargill and who should be standing behind Jade Cargill, or behind Chelsea, but Jade Cargill. So look at that. On TV, Chelsea Green gets in trouble for what she says too. Jade attacks Chelsea, drags her to the ring. They have a match-ish. Cargill put away Green quickly with Jaded. After the match, Alba Fire, Piper Niven assaulted Cargill. Of course, then, which is kind of surprising, Tiffany Stratton came out and thwarted them, sent them running. And then, of course, you've seen this a million times. Jade picks up Tiffany's belt, kisses it, looks at it, sort of hands it to Tiffany. Little tug of war. Jade releases the belt, and then Tiffany has the belt. Who's the heel and who's the baby face in this match? It's like they're both sort of baby faces who act like heels. Jacob Fatu talking backstage, giving an interview. Who shows up over his shoulder? It's The Miz. And he's next. Of course, he's in Cleveland, his hometown. But they had a match. No surprise, Jacob Fatu defeated the Miz by, was it disqualification? No, anyway. So they got together in the ring, blah, blah, blah. Of course, then no surprise, it wouldn't be Smackdown without Solo Sikoa and the MFTs who made their way to the ring. Fatu took out the MFTs before laying out the Miz with the pop-up Samoan drop to win the match. No surprise again, it wouldn't be Smackdown. MFTs beat down Fatu before Jimmy Uso, Big Jim, tried to help Fatu. Unfortunately, the MFTs stood tall. Andrade and Rey Fenix did a video package. They called Andrade La Sombra. which was interesting. And they kept saying their money. So I'm not sure if they have a name or they're just Andrade and Rey Fenix. So main event. Andrade and Rey Fenix defeated the Wyatt Six by disqualification when Nikki Cross pulled the referee out of the ring. When Andrade was trying to get a pin Joe Gacy. Now, forgive me. You know, I've only been watching wrestling for 50 years. Am I wrong? Did I see, like, was it just last week or 2 weeks ago? Somebody pulled the referee out of the ring and the match went on. There was no disqualification. I swear to God, I have seen this many, many times. And yet, this time, it was a disqualification. Well, isn't that convenient? So then, after the match, Fraxium, the Street Profits, DIY, Machine Guns, charged the ring, and all the Smackdown tag teams had a big brawl. So Nick Aldis comes out. SummerSlam. Huge match. It's going to be a 6-team, 6-pack TLC tag team title match at SummerSlam. I hope they're given enough time. I mean, 6 teams, 12 people. That's a lot. By the way, at San Diego Comic-Con, I don't know if you saw the clip, CM Punk was on stage with, I think it was Jey Uso and somebody else, and he was joking that this year or next year at the Royal Rumble, they're going to have a male Royal Rumble, a female Royal Rumble, and a Samoan Royal Rumble. And Punk said that might have to be a 40-person Royal Rumble. That's a very funny line. Oh, and by the way, hey, there's one more thing. I was watching it, and sometimes I don't have the sound on, or I'm writing notes. Sometimes you can miss things. But where was it? It was Julia has a new speaker. Sort of like, remember when Yokozuna had Mr. Fuji as a manager, but Yokozuna didn't talk at that point, and Mr. Fuji, he was Mr. Fuji. You know what I'm saying? So it was, they had a new, so they have a new role, which I totally missed. I totally missed. Hang on a second. Oh, well. Who was it? It was, someone's going to be speaking for Julia. Oh, I lost my notes. Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's Kiana James. Thank you, PJ. I gotta do this. Kiana's, backstage. There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. Can I mention? Yeah, it's intermission, guys. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the no, anyway, I was dealing with I didn't close out. There was a window that was causing some problems. And I cleared that window, and for some reason, my computer thought it was I clicked on the StreamYard, but I didn't. Anyway, all right. Let's do this. Where was I? I apologize. So Smackdown, Smackdown was a good show. But it feels very, very same. Look, Jelly Roll's a big deal. The 6-man ladder match is going to be great. SummerSlam will be a huge success. But there's just a format feeling of it's the sameness on SmackDown. Kind of a fun thing that happened in Mexico. A masked man, a man in a black hoodie appeared out of the crowd and attacked Dragon Lee in a AAA ring. And then he removes his hoodie, and guess what? Dun dun dun! It's Dominic Mysterio. And then El Hijo de Vikingo, he appears, he gets beat up. So Dominic is beaten up. Dragon Lee and El Hijo del Vikingo, with some help from El Grande Americano. So, and also Dominic brought out his Intercontinental Championship, kind of, again, blurring the lines between WWE and AAA. So, main event, AAA. It's going to be El Hijo de Vikingo. Or do they just call him Vikingo now? He's going to be defending his Mega Championship against Dominic, Dragon Lee, and El Grande Americano, who now speaks tremendous Spanish. Really good Spanish. Well, Germans and Argentina, Anyway, so, that could be a lot of fun, I think. So, I think that the WWE and AAA should be fun. We shall see. Yeah. We shall see. TNA last night. They did night 2 of their TV tapings. So, if you don't want spoilers, I'll try to leave it to a minimum. I'm going to give you like one spoiler, just because it's news. So, for Explosion, it was Jody Threat and Ariana Grace. The Hometown Man had a match as well. All right, the main Friday night's taping. Order 4 came out. Mustafa Ali cut a promo taking shots at Joe Hendry. So Hendry mocked the great hands, and that led to a match for the main event, Ali and Hendry. That's not a spoiler, because I'm not giving you the results. Trick Williams announced he's going to face Moose at the upcoming Emergence pay-per-view. Steve Macklin, Jake Something had a match. Mike Santana, in the crowd, cuts a promo, vowing to take out Trick Williams. Zaya Brookside, Lei Ying Lee took on M by Elegance and Heather by Elegance. I still don't get those names. I would call them Elegance by whomever. Anyway, Casey Navarro announced he will need surgery for his torn ACL. And here's the big spoiler. So cover your ears for like 5 seconds. Rich Swann is back. So he's back in TNA. So that's great. Now, Mara Sade, I guess she's officially now part of the TNA roster. She had a match. You know, it's funny. Sade is spelled like the singer, S-A-D-E, which is actually pronounced Sade, but everyone pronounces it Sade. Anyway, it's funny to see the kids who don't know about Sade and understand the spelling, spell her name with an S-H. I was like, wait, is her name Mara Shade? I don't think so. Had to go double check just to be sure because you never know. But no, Mara Sade. And she looks great. Good for her. There's a TNA Knockouts Championship match with Ash by Elegance and JC Jane. And then some announcements by Santino Marella for the upcoming Emergence pay-per-view. Mustafa Ali, as I mentioned, Joe Henry had a match. Trick Williams in First Class took on Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and JDC. Danny Luna, Indy Hartwell took on Harley Hudson and Mila Grace. So there you go. There is last night's TNA TV tapings. Spoiler free. All right. I am going to give you spoilers for the G1 Climax. Last night 6, the B block. Konosuke Takeshita defeated Shingo Takagi. I need to see that match. Ren Narita defeated Shota Umino. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated ELP. Great Khan defeated Yoshihashi. That's kind of a bit of a surprise to me. TMDK, Hartley Jackson and Oiwa defeated Tanahashi and Murashima. House of Torture, Dick to Go and Evil defeated Tomoaki Hama and Yuya Uemura. House of Torture, Sonata and Kanemaru defeated Yatsuda and Taichi. And Oleg Bolton and Toriano defeated Daiki Nagoi and Yoda-Tsuji. So, B-block standings after overnight. Yoshihashi still leads with 8 points, which probably doesn't bode well for Yoshihashi. Ren Narita has 8 points. Great Khan has 6 points. Drilla Maloney, 6 points. Shota Umino, 6 points. And Takeshita, 6 points. So I would expect one of the guys with 6 points to win the B block, but that's just my thought. Sunday, A block and Aichi with the A block, Oleg Bolton, which it confuses me. It's Oleg Bolton versus Yoda-Tsuji. Colin Newman versus David Finlay. Taichi versus Sonata. Uemura versus Evil. And Tanahashi versus Oiwa. Also, New Japan, as Fumi Saito and I talked about at the Pacific Rim we uploaded, be sure to listen to that. It is a great, we go almost 2 hours. So there's a ton of stories that and information you probably haven't gotten anywhere else. So obviously, Hulk Hogan, big New Japan star. He was a star in New Japan pretty much before virtually anywhere else. And obviously, he was the first IWGP champion when it was just a tournament. And, very shocking win over Antonio Inoki, which we talk about. But no surprise, as Japanese wrestling is known to do, they held a memorial ceremony for Hogan, holding a picture at the start of last night's overnight's G1 Climax in Tokyo with Hiroshi Tanahashi and former referee Tiger Hattori. They stood in the ring with his picture. And then the rest of the roster are standing at ringside with a 10-bell salute. Backstage, Tiger Hattori lived in Tampa. And he gave an interview talking about how he lived not that far away from the Boleas. And he knew Terry when Terry was like 17. And so they knew each other a very long time. And Tiger Hattori was there when Terry was training with now I can't remember the junior heavyweight champion. I am so bad with the names now. Oh gosh, hang on. I can't remember his name. Oh man, I can't remember. That's funny. Hiro Matsuda. Thanks. I'm so bad with names now. I apologize. Anyway, he was there for that, and was there with Hulk Hogan through virtually his entire career. So he knew Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan very, very well. And again, like many of Hulk Hogan's friends, talks about his kindness and many things. So it's very interesting what Tiger Hattori had to say. He was talking about New Japan doing a tribute to Hulk Hogan, which, of course, is appropriate. There's been a lot of talk about what should AEW do tonight on Collision. I think, honestly, they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. And speaking of that, speaking of Heat Online, Tony Schiavone, someone asked about if he and Hulk Hogan were friends. And Tony Schiavone very briefly, tweeted out, not friends, but colleagues. And so everyone's jumping on Tony Schiavone. Look, Hulk Hogan did take care of his friends. And look, that is not unusual in wrestling. Before cable television, it was not unusual. New booker comes in, the old crew goes out, new crew comes in. Look at 1984. Dusty comes in to book Jim Crockett Promotions in the Carolinas. Everybody from Florida comes up to Crockett, except for a few people loyal to Eddie Graham. But everybody, Ron Bass and Black Bart and Barry Windham and so many people that were Dusty's. And that's just not what you do in wrestling. That's what you do in real life. You consolidate your power with your loyal troops. And imagine you're Tony Schiavone. Gene Okerlund was Tony's guy, or was Hulk's guy. Bobby Heenan, Hogan's guy. Tony Schiavone, I'm not saying they didn't like each other, but he's not Hogan's guy. And when you think about the short time Tony lasted in WWE because of Vince's opinion of him, I wouldn't be surprised if Hulk Hogan shared a similar opinion of Tony Schiavone's abilities. I don't know that, but it wouldn't surprise me. But look, I mean, and imagine you're Tony Schiavone. Hulk Hogan, for better or for worse, was known for coming in last minute, changing formats to shows all the time. You're Tony Schiavone, you got to go on the air with a format that you just got, as opposed to having some time to go over everything, prepare some notes, do some homework, do the best broadcast you can, instead of having to wing the vast majority of it. And not only that, you know, Tony Schiavone, he's beloved again now. But there was a time, butts and seats, and the greatest night in the history of our sport, people saw Tony as a sellout. His credibility was shot. And part of it was probably because of the crap he had to sell and try to get over. So look, you've got to see things from Tony's position. And look, to say, you know, that's not a bad thing. So look, I don't blame Tony Schiavone. Anyway, tonight, Collision, we just have two matches. ROH Women's Championship match, Athena versus Alex Windsor, and a TNT Championship match. Lee Moriarty challenges Dustin Rhodes. Of course, Lee Moriarty, the big shotty, a product of the Cody and Dustin school. And of course, Dustin Rhodes. You know, I like Dustin. He and I are different people, and that is fine. Doesn't mean I'm better. Doesn't mean he's better. Now look, I have some hospital experience. I'm 6-0 in hospitals against death. And all the goodwill Dustin had built up, and then to tweet out, hospitals kill people. You know that, right? Now look, doctors are fallible. I had a situation not that long ago. I don't want to get into it, but yes, there can be negligence. Absolutely. Sorry. I have some notes. Yeah, Dustin killed my stream. No. Anyway, I have some notes, and then I also brought up some tabs. And you know, some of these tabs on these websites, you know, it's like they got ads, they got pop, and it's like it slows everything down. So I want to get rid of them as I'm done using them. And for some reason, the computer just thinks, oh, I'm going to shut down everything. So I'm sorry about that. Anyway, I don't know. Yes, hospitals can be responsible for deaths, but I don't know. Maybe that was the wrong time to say it. Maybe that's all I'm thinking. Anyway, someone was asking me in the chat about Travis Scott. Someone goes, Jim, what are your thoughts about Travis Scott falling out? I know you have no qualms with celebs in wrestling, but how involved was he in this? With how involved he was in the Cena run, should we rethink celebs in wrestling? I don't think we should rethink celebs in wrestling. I think we should rethink people under the influence in wrestling. I think we should, I get that dude is always high. That's his life. But my God, don't put someone who is always in no condition to perform into the ring and tell them to lay it in. It's not just Travis Scott who's at fault. Yeah, first time on screen, walking down smoking a fatty. Exactly. That's on management. This whole, it's funny. When John Cena first turned, oh my gosh, this is our NWO, greatest heel turn of all time. And I'm like, you've got to let it go on for a while to figure that out. And it's management's fault. You should have these things lined up. When you have a major star, like, John Cena turning, it's almost like the latest, the last 3 Star Wars movies. They didn't have a roadmap. And it essentially devalued the franchise. John Cena. It's like Star Wars of wrestling. Big, huge star. Big, huge part of many people's childhood. Not unlike Hulk Hogan. In that regard. Other regards, completely different than Hulk Hogan. But, have a plan. Have a roadmap. And that plan should not be because of the fans. That plan should not be Travis Scott. That plan should not be the Rolling Rock, who has rolled out of the picture. They should have had a roadmap, and they didn't. And they have botched it. Oh, I forgot to mention Smackdown. Oh, sorry. Cody Rhodes got a promo. He wants the John Cena at SummerSlam, not the current John Cena. Like, yeah, welcome to the club, Cody. We all want that. Yeah. I think you make a good point, Shufflebox. Cena turning an Elimination Chamber when he won the match. What was the point? And also, to be honest, you can do things once. The Mark Henry retirement. John Cena standing in the ring. With John Cena not leaving the ring, I was like, oh, they're doing it now. Because I've already seen the template. With John Cena, with Mark Henry, I was like, are they really? And they were still, because they hadn't done that yet. And then they did it, and it was still surprising. But now, when someone's in the ring, I feel like it screams here comes a heel turn. And it was very well done, but after that it was kind of garbage. So that's kind of what I think about Travis Scott. The celebrities aren't a problem. I mean, wrestling is what it is. Don't be me. Don't be young Jim Valley, teenage Jim Valley, who was brainwashed by the magazines. Don't be that. Don't be little Luthez and think wrestling is honor and respect and all these things. So anyway, but I think tonight, Collision, you're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You know, a lot of rappers, you know, wrestling is populist entertainment. People from all socioeconomic backgrounds can watch it. And they do. And so, you know, that's why, you know, Snoop was a wrestling fan, is a wrestling fan. A lot of, you know, Jelly Roll, big WWE fan, he said last night. I mean, that's one of the biggest advantages WWE has, is all of that history. And, you know, your childhood memories are so important. And everything was cooler when you were 10 years old. You're right. Okay, that's funny. Shufflebox in the chat says, I'll have you know, I pay the same amount of respect I do to Antonio Inoki and Bruno Sammartino as I do to Gold Dust knocking someone out with coconut breasts. You're right. Someone tells me to work myself into a shoot. But look, you know, one of the biggest advantages WWE has is, you know, let's just, for most people, that 40-year history, 85 to now. Obviously, there's people like me who are before all that. But I think it's fair to say the majority of people, there's that 40-year history, or however long you've been watching it. You know, Stephanie Vaquer wanted to go to WWE, and it's worked out great for her. Blake Monroe, Mariah May, was a WWE shop model. And I personally was surprised when she went to AEW. But initially, I mean, it was a really smart move on her part because she made some great money. So now she can afford to do NXT for a few years or whatever she's doing. You know, she wanted to go there. You know, ever since, you know, the boyhood dream of Shawn Michaels, wrestlers are by and large, they want to be there. And this is one of the things, one of the legacies, good or bad, of Hulk Hogan that a lot of people aren't talking about. When Hulk Hogan came out and Vince McMahon's body fetish obviously contributes to that. So many bodybuilders got into wrestling because they thought it was a way to make some big money. You know, Sting didn't watch wrestling growing up. But he saw Hulk Hogan and went, I can do that. You know, the Minnesota guys, Rick Rude, Road Warriors, you know, even probably Barry Dariso in a sense. You know, there were so many who some succeeded, some didn't. Some fell by the wayside. But I mean, you go back and look, the 1980s, so many bodybuilders. You had to have that big size and that look. And that was a lot of, Hulk Hogan. Your success breeds copycats. And now we have wrestlers who are fans growing up. And they had a dream of going to WWE. And I'm sure a lot of wrestlers go, yeah, that's the smart way to go. But I also know a lot of wrestlers would say, take the money, don't be a mark. And I guess to sort of tie this up in a bow, it kind of comes back to people criticizing people for their Hulkamania fandom. Hulk made a lot of unforced errors. To say you're racist, did he do it just to get laid? I thought that was already arranged. Why did he need to do that? Is he just thought he was working? Or, it was just a moment, I don't know. But he still said it, and that's bad. And it cost him dearly. Last appearance on Raw, he was booed. But look, to the people he was good to, that's what people do. You stick up for your friends. You stick up for your family. You judge people by how they treat you. So, if to you, if you're, younger, probably 30 or younger, something like that, and you knew him from Hogan Knows Best, something like that, someday, someone when you were 10 is going to do something wrong or expose themselves as a bad person. For example, what's the guy's name? Dan, what's his face from Nickelodeon with the foot fetish, and all the terrible things that happened there. Nickelodeon's still on TV. He did a lot of damage to people. Or Timberlake, is he canceled now? Or what have you. Dan Schneider, thank you. It happens all the time. But I just feel like, yes, you can, if you don't like Hulk Hogan and you want to boo Hulk Hogan, by all means do it. But you also have to understand that people stand by their friends. People stand by their family. And, you can't, just because someone likes Hulk Hogan or wants to remember the good times, doesn't mean they're a racist or they necessarily condone racism. Your childhood memories or the past is bathed in gold. So don't take those away from people. All right, I'm going to wrap up the Observer part of the show. Stay here 1 second, though. We get done, but I'm going to do one more time to kind of tie this up in a bow. I guess this song is called maybe Complicated, or It's Hard to Be a Grown-Up Hulkamaniac Brother. Here it is one more time to kind of put it all in perspective.
Life was fun when your shirt got ripped. Hulkster flexing and posing in the spotlight you gripped. WrestleMania made you an icon, slamming the 80s 24-inch pythons. But then came the gossip, the lawsuits, the tape, the things we don't talk about. Changed the landscape. You told us to say our prayers, believe in the truth, then broke the commandments you preached in our youth. macho. You're both good guys. WrestleMania 5, you got lust in your eyes. Red and yellow to black and white. NWO gave your career new life. Now fans are torn on what to feel. We grew up on you, was anything real? I hear real American and get goosebumps till the headlines get me down in the dumps. Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? We cheered every leg drop, but some fans feel jaded. You slammed the giant, now the past feels faded. And I know more than any other, it's tough being a grown-up Hulkamaniac brother. Whoa, we said our prayers, we took our vitamins. We believed in the hero beneath the skin. Little hopesters at heart, the gossip's still hard to take. We'll always have a childhood, and you help me. What you gonna do when the past runs wild on you, brother? Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? We still have the action figures you created. As a wrestler, you were underrated. And I know more than any other, it's a full-time job as a grown-up Hulkamaniac brother.
Remember, kids, Shufflebox said in the chat, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. I guess BJ Hennig said it in the chat. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. All right, let me hit stop here. You know, somebody mentioned the gym in Minnesota. And is that the song of the summer? It's the song of the summer. All right. Anyway, I'm so pissed off now. So I went over, I left to go look in my closet over there. Someone mentioned the gym. The first time I went to, oh, by the way, I need to mention this. I'm so scatterbrained sometimes. I don't have really much domestic wrestling merch. So a friend of mine gave me this for Christmas one year. And so I figured I'd wear this in honor of Hulk Hogan. So you got, let's say you got WrestleMania 10, which is the first one without Hulk Hogan. You got WrestleMania 4, which sucked. What do I got here? Oh, WrestleMania 3. That was the first one I saw live. Oh, you want to see the Randy Savage thing? Oops, sorry. A guy I knew who I worked with in radio, like, early 90s, who I haven't seen in person in a long time, messaged me, goes, "What's your address?" And I gave my address. And I was like, what is he sending me? What could this guy send to me? And he sent this to me. And I was like, this is not what I expected. Now, I have seen these similar ones at flea markets. And while I would have loved to have had one, I wasn't going to pay whatever they go for that. It's like I didn't want it that much. But when I opened it up, I was like, wow, that's great. So it's Slim Jim Collector Series 2021. I was like, oh my God, I hope you didn't pay much for it. He goes, no. And I was like, okay, then that's fine. But I know it's one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. I love this thing. So there you go. There it is. There we go. Maybe when I die, Mel, do you want me to put this in my will for you? Put it there since this thing failed. Anyway, there's that. So there's the Randy Savage. Okay, so someone mentioned the gym. I have a T-shirt from the gym that I got the first time I went to Ribera Steakhouse. Why, Jim? Why did that happen? Well, back in the day, I went to Tokyo the first time in 2007. So, I didn't know, the internet was, seemed like a big deal, but, yeah, how about this, Mel? When I die, you can have all this. I guess you can have that if you wanted. Anyway, so Foamy takes me to Ribera Steakhouse, and I didn't know how it worked. I just figured it was like a Hard Rock, where they have a gift shop. You could buy merch, right? Anyway, so I was, hey, can I get a jacket? And they were like blowing me off. And I didn't, if someone just would have said, these jackets are for workers or people in wrestling, I would have been fine with that. But no one told me. I'm just sitting there like this dumb gaijin, Well, now you can get them. 2007, you could not. So, I've explained this a bit. So anyway, they gave me a T-shirt from the gym. I'm so mad. Let's see. And now, so I know I have a picture of me holding the, nope, I don't have it. I have it on my Facebook. But now, guess what? Facebook is updated, and I can't access my albums. Oh, I hate Facebook. Anyway, so I was going to show you a picture. I can't find the shirt, and I can't find the T-shirt, but it says the gym on the shoulder, and it has the Road Warriors on the back, and on the front it says Ribera Steakhouse. And I know you can buy them now, but I don't want to buy one. And if I don't rise to the level where I get a jacket, then I want to respect that and not get a jacket. So that's kind of my feeling. So that's my feeling on that. So there you go. I've really sort of had a thought on, last week I talked about, I had a bad feeling about Hulk Hogan. But I tried to be positive and talk about my experiences in the hospital and how he could still, in theory, pull out. However, obviously, you want to, Hulk Hogan may be a bad person, but, he's not Hitler. So, you just try to think the best. And, you know, it's just too bad. And obviously, if you listen to Pacific Rim, there's a story there that you'll understand that I think friends and family knew the end was coming. And I do want to say two things. Now look, I understand why people like Jimmy Hart and others said what they said. You know, if Hulk Hogan is passing, he's a big star, he's a legend, he's an icon, the immortal Hulk Hogan, all of that. You don't need, you know, thousands of Hulkamaniacs outside his gate or wherever. You know, you don't need them invading the privacy of the family in his last few hours. You don't need that. I understand what they did completely, and I'm sure they did the right thing for Hulk. They did the right thing for the family. Okay? But understand, just because someone who was there says something, and am I talking about podcasts? Oh, that's right. I'm not talking about Jimmy Hart. I'm talking about podcasts. Just because someone says something because they're in wrestling or they're there doesn't mean it's the truth. So remember that. Oh, gosh. Stop with the Benoit jokes. The other thing, my wife and I are annual pass holders to Dollywood. We love Dollywood, beautiful park, great service. The food is better than Disney. It's cheaper. And Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, just as tacky as Orlando, if not more. So we watch occasionally some Smoky Mountain vloggers or kind of keep track of what's going on in the Smokies. Because we go there. You know, my wife's best friend from school lives in Tennessee. So we go there often, a couple times a year now. And so we're going this fall. And we knew, because we followed it, Hulk Hogan had opened up one of his wrestling stores in Pigeon Forge. And so we've been following, and all three of the Hulk Hogan stores closed the day they announced Hulk Hogan's death. And I think on one of the websites they mentioned that they were re-examining the prices. And I was like, oh, that's such a wrestling move. But I mean, resellers are going to come in and make money off it. So I guess you might as well anyway. Anyway, it's so interesting the way things work. All right. Is it strange to feel grief over the death of a public figure? I mean, I think a lot of people do it. I've mentioned this before, but it's been a while. When I was in the hospital the last time in 2020, you know, I was intubated. I was under for quite a while. And I was listening to a podcast, I think when Sean Waltman still had his podcast. There we go. Difficulty sleep, yeah. Exactly. You know, and there's no, someone says, I'm 37. Literally had difficulty sleeping last night. Strange. Hogan was a huge fixture my entire life, brothers. Well, so I'm in the hospital and I'm very vulnerable. I'm weak. I'm too weak to lift, and it's big and it's heavy, the remote in the hospital. And I can't push the buttons. The buttons are 200 pages. That's how weak I was. You're on drugs. You just woke up. You're going to go either way. You don't know. And I was listening to the Sean Waldman podcast with Fumi, and they're talking about everybody. And then they talk about Joe Laurinaitis, Road Warrior Animal. And they're talking about him in past tense. And I'm like, am I hearing this right? And so I messaged Fumi when I was finally in. He's like, yeah, Joe died like in July. And I was this is like September. And so I was just stunned. And I remember being very sad. And also because it's like, oh my God, it's old news to everybody. And so it really kind of rattled me, to be honest. So I think whenever, someone from your childhood passes away, it's part of that. And I would expect, everyone experiences it. My in-laws are 78, I think-ish, close to 80. And obviously you can tell my father-in-law's mortality is weighing heavy on him. Because he talks about, a lot of our friends are passing away, and a lot of people younger than us are passing away. And, and I think right now, everyone experiences that. And it's sad. Doesn't make it any less sad, yeah. And I think right now, a lot of millennials are feeling it. Because, Hulk Hogan and others from the childhood passing away. I'm at the age where more and more people passing away at my high school reunions. Who knows how many more I have. But I guess for me, I've been forced to face my own mortality. So I've sort of already, unfortunately, checked that box. And I think also, when your parents pass away, my dad passed away when I was 8 years old. So, I, again, kind of faced all that kind of stuff a while ago. But yeah, no, I don't think it's unusual. I think a lot of people do that. So, yeah. Someone goes, Matt Gouch Valley, imagine what will happen at Hogan's funerals. All the wrestlers from all walks of life and the millions. You think it'll be on TV? I don't know. It'll be covered for sure. For many people, Hulk Hogan is the brand name of wrestling. People don't know wrestling. Many people know Hulk Hogan. So, someone says Jim Valley is the Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. Well, you're saying I'm forever, but I wish I was the Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen for a different reason. I'm sorry, what? What was that?
That's the most exciting type of valley.
Yes, indeed. So, anyway, anything else about Hulk Hogan? Someone in the chat mentioned Rock and Hogan. That was pretty amazing. Has Steve Austin said anything What about, someone said Bret Hart hasn't said anything. You know, I'm sure Bret will be, who knows what Bret will be. Actually, you don't know. It could be gracious. It could be not. You never, I mean, one thing's for sure, Bret's going to tell you. He's going to tell you how he feels. So, but look, you know, whether you like Hogan or not, you know, that's your prerogative. How you choose to judge him is your prerogative. But, you know, I guess if you judge him harshly, that's fine. But if it's someone with a childhood, for another movie, in the words of Elsa, I just let it go. I let those people have their moment. I guess his Madison Square Garden thing is gonna actually happen still. I thought it was cool. He was remembered at Madison Square Garden. They showed like when he won the big green belt, you know, which is cool. Yeah. Anyway, anything else before I go? I got time. My wife is not going to be home until a couple hours, but I should probably get the show up too. I need to edit it too from those things that dropped off. I'm really sorry about that, by the way. I don't know. I've got an old computer and I don't really want to upgrade it. Some of the websites just slow things down. It's annoying. Anyway, anything else? Hulk Hogan is who he is. But I mean, oh geez. I would like to see Takeshita win the G1. As far as who will win, man, you know, I could see Finlay winning. You know, it's too bad. Yeah, I could see Finlay. Are they going to do Shota Umino again? It feels like somebody in the middle is going to come up and win in the B block. I don't expect Yoshihashi or, there we go. Oh, is Bret Hart bashed Hogan? And Steve Austin didn't. Well, it's very gracious for Steve Austin. So, yeah, that was a very nice gesture of him. I think Joe covered for Mike quite a bit in their career, but yeah, he didn't have to do that. That was very nice. And he was, you know, he was my favorite wrestler growing up. I loved the Road Warriors. Oh! Brian talked about it this week. Bubba the Love Sponge. Or Bubba Ray Dudley, sorry. It's that week, right? That guy is insufferable. I mean, look, I agree with him. Road Warriors are a great tag team. I don't think they're the greatest of all time anymore. I think the Young Bucks are. Young Bucks accomplished more than the Road Warriors did. Yeah, exactly. But, you know, to come out there and just, look, the Hardys. Now, I take nothing away from the Dudley Boys. They were a big deal and a big time. They were a big part. They were a part of the Attitude Era. However, talking about drawing power, influence, longevity. I'm sorry, Hardys are here. Team 3D is not there. I don't know where they are exactly, but they're not. They are not. Well, they're contemporaries. In my mind, they are not equals. In the early 2000s, the indies were not filled with kids dressed like the Dudley Boys. Every indie had at least one Jeff Hardy, if not two Hardy Boys. Everyone. It's just, look, the guy, we're about the same age. And look, I'm not an athlete. I never was. We know why now. But, I don't sit here and try to relive my glory days. I don't, try to stay current with what's happening, but I do it as a 56-year-old man. I don't do it as, hey, baby, look at me. I'm a little sus. Skibbity toilet. I'm not. I'm who I am. And it's like, dude, you're 53. Stop playing the tough guy. Yes, you lose in the end, but you shouldn't be going toe-to-toe with these younger people. And just to sit there and has he ever cut a short promo in his life? I thought it was funny on the YouTube how they cut a lot of it out. Yeah, it's just, dude, you've been in wrestling 30, almost 40 years. It's like, oh my God. It's just, yeah, it does feel like he's living the work. He's insufferable. And look, the Hardys, that match will probably sell. I hope Devon is in shape for it. I hope nobody breaks a hip. But, dude, yeah, you kids, your loud music, your Dan Fogelberg, your Zima, hula hoops, and Pac-Man. I don't know. And it's like, yes, the Bully Ray character, a lot of people liked it, but your peak, in most people's mind, is as a tag team wrestler. Not a singles guy, but anyway, it is what it is. It just, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's because guys like that get on my nerves. He's just insufferable. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, you got a good point there, Crash. Indeed. All right. Is there anything I haven't covered? Like, why are Saturday shows so damn packed? Do you know? Hang on, let's see here. Anything I missed? Anything I missed? Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness. Oh, that's right. I forgot. It's still the Aragon Ballroom. I love the Aragon Ballroom. It's pretty funny. Isn't it amazing? Mark Henry now loves Hulk Hogan. still out. I'm sorry, what? Sorry, what? Anyway, all right, kids. Well, I should go. I hope you enjoyed the song. I have another song that I've been wanting to do for a while. And now that I'm learning this stuff, we'll see what I can do. I don't know. I've had this one song that's been bugging me for a while that I wanted to do. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the show. And I don't think I'm here next week. I think I'm gone next week. So maybe I'll oh, thank you. I'm glad you like. You know, when you're, I try to give you guys more. Because when you're, I mean, I don't know. When, you know, you're not the top guy, I figure that's what you do. You give to people more. So I'm glad you liked the overtime. I appreciate it. It's a little less structured. It's a little less, so yeah, but there you go. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. I really appreciate that. All right, kids, have a great weekend. I think I'm gone next week. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that. Yeah, we're gone next week. Maybe I'll record. I don't know if I'll record a show. We'll see. I did 3 shows this week. Anyway, lots of shows. Go listen to Pacific Rim. And yeah, we will talk at you later. All right, kids, take care. Have a good weekend. Bye.